need products like hemp oil in our bodies on a daily basis. We need hemp seeds for portable, use when we're out of the home. We can take it with us. And we need the powder for making hemp shakes and putting it in our salads and our cereals. I mean, I'm going to tell you, whoever takes our products, they fall in love with them and they tell their friends. And that's why we are literally sold out of the 5 and 25 pounders now for the next couple of weeks. But we're taking pre-orders. So it's been just overwhelming, the sales.
Yeah, now, Tom, something else I just don't think people understand. In World War II, the government urged the farmers to start growing hemp again. Allowed them to do that.
Right.
And we conquered the world, or at least our ancestors, the English, established the empire on which the sun never sets. Did they do that with oil, or did they do that with hemp? The ropes.
They did that with hemp, and remember, we lost the hemp fields in the Philippines to the Japanese. Just, I mean, when we don't have control of the hemp fields, we couldn't have won a war back then, okay? And it was important for all of the uniforms and for parachutes and for sails and for shoes. It was, and for food. I mean, it was the food. And they're keeping it from the American people today. And your audience needs to hear it again and again and again. And they need to tell their friends to call or go to hempusa.org and change their life.
That's right, and the links are up. It's the biggest banner at the top of my page, freeamerican.com, folks. You can go there, and when you do that, Tom will know where you got the information, where you heard him on, and our ship, one of our greatest warships was the USS Constitution. It had 200 tons of hemp. It used in its sails and in its ropes. And then of course the 30s came around and they banned alcohol so they could sell you gasoline. After Prohibition, they had one of John D. Rockefeller's oil stations on every corner in America, and eventually things got back to normal. Your grandfather got out of jail being accused of being a bootlegger, and some semblance of a normalcy returned. But suddenly DuPont got with Rockefeller, and DuPont got the patent on nylon and rayon, so we started making our ropes out of that. That benefited the oil companies, it benefited the chemical companies, and the American people started getting sicker and sicker and sicker.
That's right. Hey, did you know Henry Clay was an advocate on the tariff on hemp back in 1824? Did you know that? He was a statesman, and he ran for president. And I read this. He was called the Prince of Hemp for protectionism against the hemp tariff, and that became his bid for presidency, and he came on the presidency, running for president with a 100% made hemp suit. Isn't that amazing?
Yes.
He was such an advocate for hemp back then that he made a suit out of 100% hemp. And, people knew him all over. I mean, he argued for the protectionism on the American commercial self-reliance and won him the name the Prince of Hemp. So there were many people in history that fought to protect this plant. But the powers that be, way back when, did not want to share the wealth with the American people.
Well, okay,
the greed of the few to control the many.
Now, here a couple of other additional facts for you folks. The U.S. Constitution and our Bill of Rights and our Declaration of Independence were written on hemp paper. Thomas Jefferson's newspaper was printed on hemp paper. The Encyclopedia Britannica for 100 years was printed on hemp paper, and then suddenly their competition, the William Randolph Hearst newspapers, started printing their newspapers on paper made from the forest they were cutting down.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Well, you know, the states want to grow hemp. Many of them agreed to it, but the federal government stops it because they have a law that stops it behind the marijuana plant. But did you know there is two international trade treaties? One is the World Trade Organization, and from the World Trade, it's GATT and the International Trade Treaties. They've differentiated between industrial hemp and marijuana, but not our federal government. We're the only industrialized nation that cannot grow it, Clayton. What does that tell you?
It tells me that the communists that pulled the strings behind the scenes on this country did that to weaken America, to strengthen our enemies. When hemp was outlawed here, where did it go, Tom? It went to the Soviet Union, and it went to Red China.
Right.
Go ahead.
It's a serious issue, and I think people need to be aware of what they've been hoodwinked on. We've been hoodwinked. We've been told lies. There's no reason for them to stop this from growing in America. It would only be beneficial for all mankind, all children, all animals. The complete earth would be better. We wouldn't be a dust bowl, okay? We wouldn't have to worry about drainage problems. The earth would be better. There would be more nutrients in the earth because the deep-rooting taproot system allows many minerals to come to the surface. There's just so many advantages. We could make oil for cars for 30 cents a gallon. It would affect every industry, and that's the reason they're scared. They don't want it here, and they're going to do their best to keep it out.
My father-in-law, ex-father-in-law now, was Secretary of Agriculture for California, Assistant Secretary of Agriculture on Kennedy. They killed Kennedy and got rid of him too. And he told me personally that if we could plant hemp on the hillsides in California, there wouldn't be any erosion. And another friend of mine is a bio. What's that?
I've always said that from day one. Erosion is the biggest problem because we don't even grow that hemp plant anymore.
That's right. And of course he was eliminated from the government after Kennedy was assassinated.
Wow.
If we have hemp, we don't even need oil. We could reconstitute these ships that crossed the ocean, that conquered the world, that circled the globe using hemp. And they didn't burn a drop of oil, did they?
Right. Hey, listen, I want to bring up some of the other products we carry. Is that okay?
Absolutely. I'd also like to talk to you about the Miracle 2. You know, I know you've been selling Miracle 2 for a long time, but you've come out with a product that is similar or superior in many ways to the Miracle 2, because you've done it in dry form, so people can just add electrically charged water to it, and
that's exactly right. They could add water to it, their own water, and they could make a beautiful, nice soap that will help their skin. It's just great for soaking your vegetables and fruits in it, for killing bugs and everything. It's great for your skin, and that's not going to be available for a couple of months, but we are working on it. It is a powder form, and people will get it delivered to their house a lot cheaper than as a gallon of, or 8 or 9 pounds with a gallon. This will only be about a pound. So I think that's going to be a big plus right there. We'll be able to get it out cheaper to the customer, and they can make their own soap, and it will last them a year. So that's one of the new ones. But I wanted to talk about down in the Gulf, about the poisoning with all of the chemicals they're doing with the Gulf cleanup?
The correction is more deadly to you and more harmful to Americans than